What is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours, just short of 2 hours of nonstop NBA DFS conversation starts right now, taking you all the way up the lock on a Wednesday, 7-game slate. Feels like a lot more. There's a lot of news out there. A lot of players getting traded. A lot of fake injuries. Shout out to the Thunder, who ESPN probably very angry. They're probably getting some very angry phone calls from ESPN in the back half of the ESPN doubleheader. We had a late swap here. No truth to the rumors that Bobby Gomes was traded. I don't even know if he's on the block or not, but Bobby out. Last second late swap, you have Kyle Murray. Kyle Murray stepping in for the next hour and change. I believe it's Noto and Beer as well as Roth for crunch time, jumping in about an hour or so. But Kyle, much appreciated. The people did not want to hear me go solo for an hour and change for sure. So I'm thankful that you can join us. Heavy news day. A lot of news that's not affecting the teams necessarily playing today, but do you have any quick takeaways as far as what's going down in the association? It feels like it's they're kind of ahead of time. Like it's been kind of quiet the previous trade deadlines, like quieter than expected. But we can even go back to Trae Young getting traded. A lot of pieces, and still potentially more falling. Minnesota's making some deals. Open up space. There's a seat warm for Giannis. Ja, on the block. A lot of stuff still to fall. First of all, thank you and welcome. And your thoughts, trade deadline, what do you got?
Yeah, this is always maybe the craziest time of the year, if not certainly in the top 2 or 3 in terms of projections and whatnot. So certainly keeping our hands full with that. Obviously, I think with the new, all these first, second aprons of the salary cap stuff, they want to make these sorts of trades more difficult, but teams are still finding ways to do it and get creative and whatnot. So a lot of moving pieces here. I think obviously when you're talking about doing content and projections around it, it is more difficult. It makes our jobs more difficult, but I'll always say that from a gambling perspective, give me all the news possible, all the chaos possible, because I think that's when you can, find the most amount of edges across the board, whether it's DFS, prop betting, whatever you want to do. So that's kind of my thoughts on it, and excited to talk about it.
Chris Paul, like to your point, Chris Paul getting traded to the Raptors, probably never going to see Toronto. That seems unlikely he's going to report. And probably the worst 3-player trade ever in the history of basketball. And that's all because of some sort of shuffling, some sort of jockeying, I imagine, with aprons and salaries. But the Nets getting Agbaji in a second rounder, the Clippers getting Marinkovic, and then the Raptors getting Chris Paul. We saw Lonzo Ball get traded to Utah, and now he's going to be waived. Jock Landale is a hawk for what he was in Utah for a day. Did he even sign on Zillow? Who knows? But,
hopefully not.
Yeah, or maybe they probably. You think they give him a heads up and say, just don't get too comfortable. Maybe don't even fly out.
Hopefully, but it could have been last minute as well, because I know Hawks were in the market for a couple different centers, so maybe it was a last minute put together. But hopefully, he didn't put ink to paper yet.
Yeah. I mean, there's rumor that Sabonis was available, and now supposedly, he's not going to get traded at this point. We'll see. He's in the night game tonight. Keeping an eye on that one. The big story on this slate, Thunder playing the back half of a back-to-back, and it's by some crazy coincidence, everybody's injured. Everybody's hurt at the exact same time. It seems like SGA might be legit hurt. Like he hurt his, I think it was his ribs. They're saying he's going to be out for 2 weeks, evaluated after the All-Star break, and we'll see. So, they're down to 8 players. 8. It's like yesterday, basically, except now swap Thunder for Pacers. Copy and paste. I don't know if you've dabbled. You probably played in the streets yesterday. The Pacers and the Jazz. I watched a good bit of that game, and that was some terrible, terrible basketball. But DFS goodness, a lot of DFS goodness for sure. I think the Davis move is that going to mean like they're going to bring back Trae Young? Is he all of a sudden going to play? Are they going to actually try to make a move this year, Washington? Or is Davis going to play? Are they going to sit them both down? I guess another day, but yeah.
I mean, I would guess that you'll have no shortage of injuries that you can pop up here with Anthony Davis over the course of the next few months. I'm sure that's how it'll play out. They'll keep him out as much as possible. that's how I would assume it's going to go down. That way they can sort of still maintain their current tanking status, but also have some nice pieces put together for next year. So that's the way I would guess it's going to go down.
Alexander in chat and everybody in chat, hit that like button, do subscribe, you turn on those notifications, when we go live, is saying, can we just take a second? Can we pause to acknowledge the rise of Kyle's facial hair progression? Yeah, it looks pretty spectacular. It's actually pretty impressive. We doubted you, we doubted you in the first half, but now it's really starting to, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I mean, you're not at Beer's level just yet, and that's fine, but there's different tiers. But that's pretty solid. I'm impressed. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, patience is definitely a virtue when it comes to that, and being able to get through the itchy phases. I still want it to come a little more on the sides, but we'll see how it goes and see how long it lasts.
Okay, one early game, the ESPN game, one game at 7:00. It's Denver in the back half of back-to-back. They're in New York. Christian Brown is expected to play. Is officially probable. Nothing else different. Cam Johnson is out. Aaron Gordon is still out for New York. Josh Hart is still officially questionable, but I believe we ruled him out of projections. It seems, why is he questionable? He's out, right? I mean, like, not officially, but we're assuming he's out, Josh Hart?
I think we put him back in projections because there was some positive news around him. Last night when I did the overnight, I left him out because it looked like it was a pretty rough injury, and it looked like he rolled his ankle and then obviously didn't come back. But there was a report that he wasn't in a boot after the game, and he was walking around pretty effortlessly after the game. So that combined with him being questionable, we ended up putting him back in projections.
Yeah, he is, like you said, he is back in. Diawara is officially questionable too with his ankle. McBride is still out. He's got an ankle too. If you were to guess, though, Hart tends to play through everything, and probably to his detriment. Probably plays too much injured, it seems like. But yeah, my guess was he's not going to play, but we'll keep an eye on that. And we'll know because that's a 7:00 game. We don't know. Crunch Time's going to know. Crunch Time coming in here about an hour or so. They take you guys all the way up the lock. I was thinking about how appealing this first game is, and news is at a premium. I'm not sure what we're waiting for from 7:00 to 7:30, but I may just punt this game to get an extra half hour worth of news. We'll see. Joker is expected to play here in the back half of a back-to-back. I'm curious how you feel about Denver and New York in the Garden on ESPN. Do we prioritize this, the only game here in the 7:00 block?
I think current state of it, not really interested in prioritizing, and I'm also fine with sort of punting that game and giving yourself an extra half hour to even just scramble and build lineups, because obviously the news has been crazy all day, but also maybe like you mentioned, we'll get another piece of news or two. So yeah, I wouldn't mind. I guess I'm not like dying to X anybody out of this game. I think some of the New York guys are fine, but I don't think they're anything elite plays by any means to where you need to avoid that.
The thing is, like, we definitely have the salary, we have the funds. It's not hard to get Joker if you want Joker. It's not hard to get Wemby. It's not hard to get anybody on the slate because the Thunder. You're going to be playing. Well, I guess I shouldn't speak for you, but I presume you and everybody in chat is going to have at least 2 Thunder pieces at a minimum, and they're all just so cheap. There's just 8 guys. Stars and scrubs. Thunder and stars basically is how this slate sets up. Far as I can tell, I guess it can change. There's a chance that we lose Sabonis, I guess. Just going to stay tuned for stuff like that. There's a chance we lose somebody in Minnesota. Minnesota might, they're not just going to give him Giannis, right? If they get Giannis at some point tonight. Got to keep an eye on that. And that is later on in the evening. Actually, Minnesota at 7:30. I forgot they're in Toronto. So we'll see. Just kind of stay tuned on stuff like that. But I do want to, whenever I can, just kind of buy news. But how much do I want to prioritize Joker and center? There's some really good value pieces at center too. It's just there's an opportunity cost. If he puts up 60 points, do I need that? Probably not. It's fine, I guess. If you tell me he gives you 60, no more, no less, I probably just pass. That's cute. I'll get the points elsewhere and I'll lock in some of the value plays at center. But if you were going to pick anybody this game, who are your favorite plays on both sides? And is there a major benefactor if Hart is out? Because I don't know. It's just like little bumps, right? Nobody gets a massive bump that's like really worth pointing out. I don't think.
Yeah, I think if last night we saw Hart and Diawara get hurt in the middle of the game, and we saw Jordan Clarkson play a good amount of minutes, but that was also just, I think, partially due to game scripts. I don't think we'd see him, quite play enough minutes to where he'd look like a really strong play, but you could at least maybe, make a pitch there that he's a high upside, punt option there at 3-2. I think Landry Shamet is not necessarily an exciting player, but he'd probably be the guy to step into the starting lineup and maybe see 20 to 30 plus minutes. But again, I mean, 4K certainly cheap enough to get there, but he's not necessarily an exciting per minute producer. But you could certainly do worse there at that price range. But that's only if Hart's out for me.
Our if then is saying Shamet for 22 minutes if we happen to lose Hart and Diawara combined. Still nobody. Like Cat looks good. OG's fine, but I mean even Brunson's still a negative value. Mitra, Bridges, all negative values. You mentioned Clarkson. What was that, like a 40-point game or so last night against Washington? Just an absolute full-on shellacking. Yeah, so even still, I'm not terribly enthused. And then you also have to say, like, okay, Shamet, which Thunder player is Shamet going to beat? Like, you know what I mean? You have to sort of do that. And like maybe he beats one of them. I don't know. Maybe, amongst the 5 or 6 that are in consideration, 7 if you want to stretch it to that. But that's kind of where I'm at. So I don't think I'm playing Landry Shamet. Interested in Joker to some degree, but probably not. I don't. This game for me is mostly uneventful. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't make a ton of lineups. I don't know if I'm forcing anybody here. I might want some news on Minnesota. San Antonio is another one we're waiting for as far as some injury stuff, and they might counter. San Antonio might say, "Well, screw you. You're not going to play anybody against us. We don't even need Stephen. Why do we need Stephon Castle? Well, why do we need Kelly Olynyk? Well, he might get traded. I guess that's why that he's on the questionable side, possibly, maybe. Dylan Harper, another guy. So they have some pieces that we've not yet established as far as who's in and out. And it's possible
Josh
they might
Hart
be out.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, officially out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's even still. We're not playing Josh Hart, and
I do think it helps guys like Anunoby and Bridges just because we've seen some times where the Knicks have been able to pay off because they have 36 to 38 plus minute upside. That hasn't necessarily been as much of the case here with obviously them getting a little bit healthier, and it seems like they want to at least be cautious of that in certain games when they can. But this game has a 4.5 point spread. Might even tighten up a little bit to maybe 4, 3.5. I doubt Hart moves the line too much, but regardless, you at least get a couple of pads to additional minutes for some of these guys. And Anunoby and Bridges, I don't really love playing Bridges. He's just so hit or miss. I prefer playing a guy like OG Anunoby, who I feel a bit more better about going out there and scoring 20 plus points any given night. So I think I would prefer OG, but I do think it's probably going to give them a slightly better minutes projection, but more importantly, it gives them more of a minute ceiling. So those two combined with Shamet is probably where I'd be looking.
Yeah, I don't disagree with your point as far as OG and Bridges. They do get little bumps here that put them a little bit more in play. 7:30 next game, Minnesota Toronto, the only 7:30 game. Minnesota and Toronto 226.5 is the total. Minnesota's a slight favorite, and he's got an elbow injury. He's questionable with his elbow. Julius Randle's got that thumb. He's been dealing with it. He's questionable too. He's another guy that might be on the market. Who knows? I mean, the likelihood of him getting traded now in the next 3 hours, probably unlikely, but maybe. Toronto, well, Agbaji was just kicked off the team. Pirtle's still not there with his back. Otherwise, Toronto is fully healthy. How are you seeing Minnesota and Toronto? You are on mute, sir.
Oh, sorry about that.
Sure.
As of right now, the only player I have a ton of interest in would be RJ Barrett, I think, for Toronto. It is a tough matchup against Minnesota, but it is a pace-up spot for them at least, with Minnesota ranking 11th in pace. So you can at least get a little bit of a bump there in terms of expected possessions and whatnot. I just think that the other guys are a little bit too priced out. And at this point right now with Barnes, Ingram, and Quigley all, they've been priced up due to not only RJ Barrett missing times, but we've seen some of those guys in and out of the lineup as well. I think the Mamu and Murray Boyle situation is a little bit up in the air now. I do think there's a chance we see maybe them share the floor a little bit more tonight with Gobert and Julius Randle on the other side. But it is still, I think, a stretch at this price because, again, those two have also been, exceeding expectations due to one of them missing time. So we've seen their prices go up a bit. I think RJ Barrett's the one that's probably the better price to fit in the lineups. On the Minnesota side, similar to some of the Toronto guys, it's a bad matchup. Toronto's been very good defensively, and they play slow, bottom 6 in terms of pace, top 7 in terms of defensive efficiency. So they've been really strong on the defensive end. I do think there's a more than moderate amount of risk that we see a trade. I mean, I guess I can't really recall, but I think, MLB, I think of mid-game trades quite a bit. I don't think that's
much. Yeah,
I don't know if that happens as much in the NBA. I can't necessarily remember a time, but obviously we still have 2 hours until this game tips off. That's a lot of time for something to go down in the NBA, especially where all of the pieces are there to put the puzzle together to suggest that the Timberwolves are looking to be all in, especially on the Giannis trade. I think they're going to be doing something. I don't think they plan on striking out at this deadline. So, that adds an inherent amount of risk there for some of these guys. I think that's also part of the reason why maybe this spread is so tight. And, we do see some of these guys questionable. I do think Toronto is probably a better team in the markets than maybe public perception. But regardless, I still think 1.5 might be a little too tight. And maybe that is because some of the risk of potential trade here. But current standing right now, I don't have too much interest in anybody on Minnesota. But things could change really fast for this team if they make any sort of move.
I'm still confused. We have time. Did I see that Minnesota did not want to include Dante DiVincenzo for a trade for Giannis? Did I see that? Did I read that correctly?
I think maybe I didn't necessarily see specific reports, but I did see a lot of people giving Minnesota shit about, not making – it's like basically everybody other than Ant should be available, which is 100% true. So maybe that does make sense.
But I mean, I'm not going to not trade for Giannis if I got to keep Dante DiVincenzo. He's a fine player. He's fine, right? But okay, yeah, you can have him too. Sure.
Yeah.
That's it. We get Giannis? Okay. Yeah. That's it. And the other one, as I saw, that allegedly Jaden McDaniels was why would Milwaukee want Jaden McDaniels? I don't understand. He's a fine player, he's a role player, but they want a young blue chip player or they want picks. And McDaniels is neither of those. I don't understand what. Maybe I'm just.
I do think that McDaniels is a kind of piece that contending teams need. I think he's exactly what you want from somebody as a 4th or 5th best player on your team. Certainly not a guy to build around, but you're talking about an absolute elite perimeter defender, a guy who can go out and score 15 to 16 points a game as well. I would say he's a pretty hot commodity in the markets, especially. I would say maybe not for a Milwaukee team that is so clearly going to be looking to rebuild, certainly. But I mean, he's not old. So, but if you're looking to trade with Minnesota, I mean, obviously they have picks and whatnot. They just lost one when they traded Mike Conley in that Pistons deal. But I guess I don't know their full pick situation. But when you look at this team, who else are you really looking to get? Naz Reid, DiVincenzo. Obviously, you probably get Randall back as well. I would rather have McDaniels than DiVincenzo. So, I think it's interesting there.
Yeah, the point you made was that he's a great player for a team that's contending as a 3rd or 4th player, a wing defender. Yes, 100%. But Milwaukee's none of that. So his best asset, he's not put the good use of Milwaukee. He's wasted in Milwaukee. But I totally agree. He's a really good player to have on a team that's contending. And Milwaukee is the opposite of that. Okay. Will Vooch start for Boston or come off the bench? We don't know. I'm not certain that it's going to be Vooch starting. Kata's played pretty well.
Yeah, I think he'll start, but it could go either way.
Yeah, I don't know. I think some people assume he's starting. I wouldn't just assume. I think it's 60-40, but who knows? We'll see. Doesn't matter tonight because he's not available tonight. Next game up is New Orleans and Milwaukee, 221.5. That's the total. Milwaukee's a 5-point dog here. They did get Kevin Porter Jr. back. He's back from the injury report. They are playing the back half of a back-to-back. They played last night. All the Antetokounmpos are out. Alex and Giannis. Cole Anthony officially probable for what it's worth with his ankle. Doesn't matter because Porter's back. Miles Turner is probable with his ankle. Last night, it was a tough scene for Turner. He was really popular, and he had early foul trouble and then late blowout. The combination of those two things held him like 24 minutes or so. Bobby Portis is still out as well. New Orleans is super healthy. There's nobody out for New Orleans of relevance. DeJounte Murray is on the injury report. We have not seen him all season long. We may not see him all season long with his Achilles. But, New Orleans clean. What's the hot stove? What's the term in basketball? I know it's not the hot stove. That's a baseball term. But what is that for Zion? Is that still something that people are still getting clicks for? Or is that going to happen or is that not happening? It feels like it's simmered as far as him being on the market.
Yeah, it seems like New Orleans is done making moves. That's what it seems like.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe they'll move a guy like Herb Jones or something like that. But they've made it pretty clear that they don't want to break up those four guys with Murphy, Zion, Queen. Sounds like they want to keep Fears, even though they've kind of stopped playing him as much. So yeah, maybe Misi gets moved. Maybe he can find a spot to be off the bench big man. But for the most part, I would say that Pelicans are likely done, which is unfortunate because I would love for my Pistons to go out and trade for Trey Murphy. I think he's the best player that realistically you can trade for. Obviously, you have big names like Giannis and whatnot. I think those guys are more likely. It sounds like Giannis will get moved, but before the deadline time, it was like, oh, there's no way the Bucks will actually trade Giannis. So now that we get closer, it does seem more likely. But I think he's more of a realistic candidate for a lot of teams out there. So if they do move him, I would say that'd probably be the best pickup for anybody. It sounds like Zion is going to be staying home, though.
I'm starting to think that the Giannis gets moved in the offseason because it's like no great deals. Like you're always going to lose, right? Whenever you move somebody the talent of Giannis, like 99 times out of 100, you're just going to lose in that deal. It's like, just how bad do you lose? Yeah. That's just how that works. And like nothing I've heard has been amazing.
Especially in the short term.
Yeah. I mean, every once in a while, the Thunder, right? They didn't know what they were getting in SGA. Obviously, the Paul George deal, they got 3 or 4 picks in SGA, and one of the greatest trades in the history of the NBA. But generally speaking, when you're trading a top 5 player in the league, you're just not going to get the appropriate value back. And I think in the offseason you might have better options. I haven't heard any great trades, but we'll see. And why would they feel so rushed? I don't know, but curious to see how that all plays out. We'll know soon enough. How much does Kevin Porter Jr. being back muck up Ryan Rollins, who's now 8-8 for Ryan Rollins? Ryan Rollins is 8.8K on DK. Well, in what world? Now it's justified. He's been awesome. He's been spectacular. Yeah, I feel like Porter's going to take away enough where I know Rollins is still like projecting pretty well. I think he's going to be one of my the matchup's good too. I think it's going to be one of my stands where I'm probably not playing him in my main lineup. How do you feel about Porter eating away at Rollins? Just the Bucks in general here.
Yeah, I think Rollins will still get his to an extent, but I think it does offer a little bit more volatility, and it's bad volatility, I would say. Like I talked about this a little bit in the Discord yesterday. Volatility is kind of like a scary word at times, but in DFS and in gambling, it's not always scary. Like we were talking about Cam Jones and like how we don't know anything about him. So he could actually be pretty good. So he was a volatile player, but that could at least work in his favor. For Ryan Rollins in this case, there really is no way that he gets better with Kevin Porter coming back. I mean, I guess he could have a highly efficient game. There could be an outlier game, but in the grand scheme of things, if you played this game out 1,000 times with Kevin Porter Jr. playing and without him, Ryan Rollins is certainly going to have better games with Porter Jr. off the floor or out of the game. I will say I would be pretty surprised if we see KPJ step in and play that 36, 37-minute role that he was in prior to the injury. So, maybe that helps Rollins a little bit. But at the end of the day, I still think that this 8-8 price on DraftKings is just a bit too much. He'd probably be I would rather play both of the other spend-up options on the other side of this game with Trey Murphy and Zion. I'd probably rather play Kyle Kuzma at this price here for $2,000 discount. So difficult to just get to Ryan Rollins because of the price. I still think that he could have a decent game, but for this price tag, probably not a guy I'm going to be keying in on much here.
When you were doing minutes last night, were you assuming Porter? And if you were, how many were you assuming him for? We're giving 26.
Yeah.
I don't know how to. It's a tough number. I don't know. I don't have a good read on it, but like, there's a chance probably he plays 28, 29, I guess. I think he plays at least 20. Or was this something you considered last night?
Yeah, when I had him out of the projections last
Yeah.
night. We had him zeroed out, so we left him doubtful, and then obviously was off the report completely. Yeah, I do think that you can maybe say the fact that he wasn't questionable, he was just straight up available, does speak to maybe a little bit more health than normal. I would say 26 to 28 would probably be a safe range, but I would say the overall range of outcomes could be anywhere from 24 to like 34 because he could just be fine and he's playing those normal minutes. But we've also seen the Bucks do some weird things healthy at times because they don't really care at this point. And if anything, they are fine with losing games. So that is certainly adds to the range of outcomes for Porter Jr.'s minutes. So yeah, I would say a safe range of minutes would be anywhere from that 26 to maybe 29 minute range.
It's a big range. Yeah, it's tough. He is 6'5" on FanDuel. Like I'm trying to, if he's playable at 6'5", I don't know. And DK, I can't get there at 7'5", but 6'5" on FanDuel is at least something you can consider. I think if you want to bet on him playing more, 30 plus or so. You mentioned liking Murphy. He can get what 3 or 4 first rounders probably. Is that the going rate? I would imagine he get like the Bain deal. You're talking about, I guess he's not available, but it's been something that's been rumored, but I guess they're just going to keep him. How about tonight? You're talking about Zion and Murphy. You like them both. Who do you prefer amongst those two?
Prefer Trey Murphy slightly. I mean, he's just going to play more minutes. And at this point, like he's not even that far off in terms of a permanent producer. I mean, he has actually been dominating the usage over the past couple of weeks. It does seem, I think we did a show a couple of weeks ago, and I said that there's been a little bit of a transition in the way that the Pelicans are running their offense, and it's significantly through Trey Murphy. He obviously gets a little bit of an uptick there because he gets to play a few more minutes without Zion. Well, a lot of Zion's minutes do come with Murphy on the floor because Murphy plays so many more minutes. But nonetheless, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Murphy just ends up projecting as a guy who's going to have a higher usage on a night-to-night basis than Zion. He just is, shooting the ball so consistently, and he has, 8 rebound upside, 5 assist upside, so he can kind of fill up the stat sheet as well. So he's cheaper, going to play more minutes, and at this point, I don't even think he's, that much more of a, of a downgrade on a permanent basis than Zion. So I'll take Trey Murphy over Zion pretty easily tonight.
Good to see him break out of that funk too. He had a pretty terrible slump for like 3 or 4 games or so. He was firing away, just missing. The usage was there. The other thing is, I wrote about Murphy today. 33 minutes, Kyle. At least 33 minutes in his last 19 games. That's like a rock. Averaging 36.7. It's just awesome. You tell me I'm getting 36 minutes versus New Orleans, Milwaukee. Yeah, Milwaukee. Sign me up for that. In chat, they're talking about, by the way, this slate does not start until 8 o'clock. And yeah, I asked you about punting Denver, New York. I think you could punt Minnesota, Toronto, assuming we get nothing goofy on the Minnesota side, and they play it straight up and everybody's in. Again, I'm not saying I'm talking about for 1 or 2 lineups that you want to do for 5 lineups. If you want to punt these first 2 games, I don't think that's the worst idea. Do you agree with that? Like, is there any full-on priorities as things stand right now for Minnesota, Toronto? It didn't sound like we had any in Denver, New York.
No, not really. I mean, I do like RJ Barrett a good amount. I think he's a pretty good tournament play. I think I would rather, for guys like this who have been pretty good this season and coming back from an injury restriction, I tend to like to be a little bit earlier on those guys because eventually we're going to get a 32 to 34 minute game from RJ Barrett, and the field's not going to be on him to that extent. This could be that spot, 1.5 point underdogs at home. But again, I certainly think there are some other really strong options in that price range. So I wouldn't say he's a must by any means. So if you wanted to wait till 8, you can certainly swing that. But he would be the one guy that I would probably mention in those games.
I don't disagree with that. Okay. Boston and Houston. This is a really, really low total, 210.5. Boston is an 8-point dog here at Houston. The big deal is that Jaylen Brown, is he officially ruled out or doubtful?
Doubtful, I believe.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. He's not going to play. He's doubtful. Sam Hauser was already ruled out. It says Anthony Simon's personal reasons. He was traded, right?
Yeah, but they're delaying that trade, the official status of the trade, because they're considering other moves within that trade. So,
okay.
So yeah, that's how we have that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and so I know Chris Boucher says personal reasons. Like he might have different personal reasons. They would like to trade him, I think, but I don't think he's probably another guy, like you said, for salary purposes that could get thrown into something. Just has not worked out this offseason. One of the acquisitions. He was right there with Keita. Like it could have. Is it going to be Boucher? Is it going to be Boucher or is it going to be Keita? And Keita just took this job and ran away from it from basically day one. Steven Adams donezo for the year with his ankle. Durant is good to go with his ankle. He's probable on the injury report. DFS is out. Left ankle management. Tari Eason, another guy that's supposedly allegedly in the block. I know Chop keeps talking about wanting the Rockets to get a point guard. I don't know if that's going to happen, but they got less than 20 hours or so, give or take. 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock tomorrow is the deadline. Close to 20 hours. Boston and Houston. So it's not a great matchup for Boston, but a lot of usage to go around in the absence of Jaylen Brown. We're assuming that Pritchard jumps back in the starting lineup along with Shireman and Walsh and Keita. Pritchard and White can play a boatload if this game stays close. Does it stay close? It's only 8 points, but the absence of Brown is kind of a big deal. How you see in Boston and Houston?
Yeah, there's even some 7.5s out there. I was actually pretty surprised because this game opened at 5.5, and I actually gave out Houston -5.5 on the Action Network Buckets podcast last night because I was like, we've seen Boston on these back-to-backs sort of take it easy on some of these guys. Might be a good chance for them to do so and end up coming to fruition there with Jaylen Brown being real doubtful. Pretty interesting to see Jaylen Brown only worth 2 points to the spread. Maybe the books were factoring in the risk of Jaylen Brown sitting inherently, but certainly I think 7.5 points still seems a little bit light with Jaylen Brown out of the picture here. It will be interesting to see what they do with the starting lineup because last game they moved Peyton Pritchard back to the bench unit, which was obviously beneficial for him. I think he scored like 26 points, still played starter minutes. So essentially what they were doing last year with Peyton Pritchard, which I think is perfect for them. I actually think that just moving off of Simons and getting a piece that I think is just a net positive in some other category, it's a double positive because you get Pritchard back in that role where I think he is so elite as a true six man, a guy who he's running the show at times when he's with that second unit. Stagger him and Derek White as the primary ball handlers. I think that is a huge upgrade for Boston as is. But for this particular game, 210 total. It has been one of the lowest ones I can remember, at least off the top of my head, this season. So it should be an ugly one. Obviously, two teams, bottom two teams in pace here. Two good defensive teams as well. Obviously, Boston missing a couple of their their normal starters as well. So it's not really a game I'm having a ton of interest in. The one guy that's popping for me is Jordan Walsh here, probably depending on starting lineup. I don't think he's necessarily a lock to start. I don't think anybody is a lock to start with Boston right now outside of Derek White and Neemias Queta and maybe Baylor Shireman. Wouldn't even be that surprised if they did something weird with him. For what it's worth, shout out to our guy Napstrom, and he said that it's Hugo Gonzalez's birthday tomorrow, so maybe they want to give him a little birthday present and put him in the starting lineup. That does sound crazy, but that is something that happens more often than you would think in the NBA and in professional sports. So Boston could quite literally do anything with their starting lineup, so worth noting there. On the Houston side, I have no interest. I think that there's just other guys I would rather play. I think there is some blowout risk because I do think Houston is the much better team in the current states right now. So no interest in Houston for me.
You were talking like you think that Boston's better off to have Pritchard come off the bench as a six-man. And the counterpoint is maybe they don't have that option with Brown being out.
Yeah. That was more of a long-term. Yeah. But yeah, so tonight I do think he probably starts, but I don't think it's a lock. But yeah, long-term, I do think they're better off with Pritchard as a six-man, yeah.
And if not, you're talking about maybe Hugo Gonzalez. I know Garza was projecting pretty good earlier in the day. Is he still projecting well because now the Thunder stuff? Where do we have Garza projected? We had him 22 minutes, 22 fantasy points, 4K. Center only on FanDuel. That's really hard to just be your only center. Garza, probably more likely to play him on DK. He's fine, I suppose. He would also play mop up. Would he mop? Or would it be like would they dust off Tillman? Or why not? Would Garza mop? What do you think?
I would say yes, because I don't think they want to do that with Tillman. And Amari Williams is in the G League, so
Yeah.
I would say Garza's probably. I mean, they could do it with Tillman. He just hasn't played in so long, so it's like, are you gonna really run him out there? I mean, I know we saw Chris Boucher not play for like 2 months, then he came in, played the last 4 minutes of that game against the Kings, and he shot the three the last second. And Russell Westbrook came up to him and was like, "Hey, I didn't like that." And Boucher was like, "I haven't played in like 2 months, man. I just wanted to do something." And Westbrook was like, "All right, that's fair. That's fair." But so maybe they do something crazy with Tillman, but I would still guess that it's likely Luka Garza.
I like that Russ gave him a break because, just cut him some slack. It's been a while. Just happy to be out there. Tillman played that minutes January 19th, but yeah, I get to your point. They rarely dust him off. Okay. So favorite play? I know you said you're on no Rockets. If you're playing somebody on Boston, you have a starter watch for Hugo Gonzalez you're talking about, maybe. We're not currently projecting that, but it is Boston. Like you said, there's some guesswork here. Most likely, almost definitely, White, Keita, probably Shireman. And we're going with Pritchard and Walsh. You think Pritchard's probably in there too. And if not Walsh, you're saying Hugo maybe draws the start?
Yeah, I would say Hugo would probably be the most likely option to start. I would guess that it's going to be at least four of those five that we currently have projected that you mentioned. But Hugo could maybe slot in. But if Walsh starts, he'd be my favorite option. And if not, it would be Hugo if he ends up starting.
Getting baseball news. James Harden, by the way, expected to make his debut Saturday. He's ducking the Clippers tonight. Or I don't know, maybe some paperwork going on. Not exactly sure what's happening there. Is he still in Arizona? Wasn't he like in Arizona for a bit? I thought that was a thing. Okay. Well, he's not playing tonight, unfortunately. No insta revenge. The Thunder. This is the game. This is the slate, Kyle.
Yeah.
The Thunder take on the Spurs. Back half of a back-to-back. 218.5 is the total. They're just, by the way, just 10-point dogs. I know the Thunder are probably the deepest team in the league, but they are down to 8. As far as who's in and who's out, the actives and inactives will knock out the Spurs first, although they have some questionables too that are pretty important. Kelly, not that important. He's got a foot. Jeremy Sohan's got a quad. He demanded a trade. I don't know if anybody's trading for him. Lindy Waters, the third. He's got that knee. He's not playing. But Steph Castle, he's questionable with his adductor. That's important. And then Dylan Harper, also questionable with his ankle. So the Thunder, the good Jalen Williams is not playing basketball. No AJ Mitchell, no SGA. SGA apparently is 2 weeks plus, then a reevaluation. Their two best bigs, both Hartenstein and Holmgren, are out tonight. Alex Caruso still out with I shouldn't say still out. He played yesterday. He's out with his adductor. Ousmane Dieng was traded, I believe, right? Wasn't he traded to somebody?
Yep, to Charlotte.
Shout out to Charlotte for trying, by the way. They traded for Kobe White. It's good to see teams, like I give the teams, like the terrible teams, hard times. It's nice to see Charlotte making an effort. Nice to see them join and we can actually trade for people and kind of improve our team. That's new to us. Kobe White, we saw the Jazz at least trying something. I can respect you're making an effort. What do we think of that trade? Oh, actually, you probably have a take on this. The Thunder traded for the dude on Philadelphia who was pretty good when we saw him in the McCain, right?
Yep.
How does he fit in this team? Is he ever going to get any run? Like, how do you break this rotation? He goes to one rotation he can't break, and to another one he can't break, but maybe he gets some run in the time when SGA's out. It didn't cost him anything, like some second-round picks. Who cares? Those are nothing. But I think he flashed some potential, McCain, and I think former lottery pick, if I'm not mistaken, or on the fringe of the lottery. I think so.
Yeah, I think he was either in that 12 to 14 range back in the lottery. I mean, I think that when I first heard about the trade, the first thing that my mind went to was being a little bit nervous about either this SGA or AJ Mitchell injury.
Yeah.
Because if this whole team is healthy, he's not playing. I mean, there's just no need for him. But I mean, they got him for free pretty much. They did give up one first round pick, but it was this year, and obviously that pick's going to be basically a second round pick. So yeah, they basically took him on for free. So a little bit worried about potential maybe longer term injury stuff with SGA, who is quoted to be out at least 2 weeks. Never like to hear anything outside of like more certain timelines for injuries in the NBA. And then AJ Mitchell, who has missed like 5 or 6 games in a row. I think tonight will be either his 6th or 7th game in a row, and we haven't really got any update on what is even going on there. So yeah, I mean, if the whole team is healthy, like Jared McCain's just simply not playing. They have no need for his ball handling skills. He's more of a shooter. So can he beat out Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Kason Wallace, who are all, I mean, Wiggins and Wallace are better defenders. Dort is going to be a guy that they're playing at, a lot more in the playoffs. Same with Caruso. He's just simply not going to play if the team's fully healthy. So a little worried about maybe some longer term issues with injuries there. Maybe that's kind of why they picked him up. But at the end of the day, it was essentially a free flyer.
Yeah, I think it's a good trade. Didn't cost them anything. I think there's some upside there as well. I forgot that you mentioned Dort. I forgot to mention they gave him a fake injury too. He's out with what did they give him? Patellofemoral joint. I don't know what that is.
Patellofemoral joint. Obviously, that's something in the leg. Knee, maybe right above the knee where the femur meets the knee. That's what I would guess based on that word. I'm basically a doctor. I know.
They're calling inflammation, so he cannot play. They're down to 8 tonight. We're projecting Wallace, Joe, Wiggins, Williams. That's Kenrich and Jalen, and then like the G Leaguers basically off the bench. Or Carlson, we're projecting him not to start. We have seen him start in some situations. Maybe they use his size against Wemby. Are we 100% certain? I know we got to pick somebody. Do you feel confident in that starting lineup? You think is that what it's going to be? I think it's a pretty good chance. I could just see Carlson possibly starting because Wemby's on the other side and he's got some length.
Yeah.
Wallace, Joe, Wiggins, Williams, and Williams. Is that you feel good about that?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think that's like the most likely starting lineup. But to your point, I would not be surprised if Carlson starts. I also wouldn't be that surprised if Youngblood starts, just because he's more of a natural ball handler rather than Kason Wallace, who's more of a. I mean, I don't think they'll have any problems if that's who they want to start point guard, or even Isaiah Joe. But I do think that Youngblood maybe getting a few extra minutes wouldn't be all that surprising, because I do think he's more of a natural. A guy who can bring in the ball up at times. So wouldn't be surprising, but yeah, I do think that starting 5 that we have currently projected is, the odds-on favorite to be the starting 5.
I was trying to figure out, and the chat was asking, and maybe you can help me out, like who's going to be the main ball handler for the Thunder? And like you said, probably the one that is most naturally a ball handler is probably Chris Youngblood, right?
Yeah.
But like he's going to be out there presumably less than Wallace and less than Joe and less than Wiggins. We've seen Jalen Williams. He does have a triple-double to his name. Yeah. So in at least one game, he did have 10 assists. That did happen a couple of years ago, I believe. I don't know if I get the Chris Youngblood in just a few lineups, but I think he's an interesting play just for the idea of like, if this game gets out of hand, he's out there no matter what the score is. Like for sure he's mopping. There's only 8. Just you can work backwards and just figure out who are the 3 guys that are not going to be out there. Youngblood will be, Carlson and Barnheiser. Can you power rank the Thunder for me? How much Thunder is too much Thunder? What is the minimum number of Thunder? I'm going to run some optimal stuff, and I assume it's going to be 3 or 4 in basically every single lineup, possibly 5 on DK. Do you have any leans as far as your favorites, all things considered, for OKC?
Yeah, I would say minimum is 3 to 4. I don't think there is too many other than what the sites will allow. That's, I mean, as many of these guys you can fit in, you can certainly play. If I had to rank them, I think right now my favorites would be Jalen Williams, and then Kenrich Williams, and then Brandon Carlson, and then Isaiah Joe, and then Aaron Wiggins, and then Chris Youngblood, and then Kason Wallace. That'd be was that 7 guys? And then, you said everybody but
Barnheiser. I guess Barnheiser's 8.
Yeah, Barnheiser's really not he's really the only one I'm not super interested in, because I do think that I would prefer to play Youngblood off the bench and Carlson off the bench, and then all the starters as well. So yeah, that's how I'd rank them.
So on DK, I run some optimal stuff, and it's again, similar to last night. It's 3 stars and 5 Thunder. That's very simple. Well, 2.5 stars. Peyton Pritchard, 2.5 stars. Let's see. Pritchard is it's you can get the 3 stars. Like 3 is depending on how if you liberal you're using the defining stars. But yeah, 5 Thunder, 4 Thunder, 4 or 5 is basically what you're getting. I don't know if I'm going to get the 5, but it does seem appealing to play 3 stars and 5 players in the Thunder. And they're all probably going to play 20 plus minutes or so. FanDuel, you can only get 4. Optimal has 4 Thunder on FanDuel, then 4, then 4. If I keep scrolling, so you're just getting the max on FanDuel. And I added some variants. I capped it at 88% on FanDuel. I said I want nobody in there more than 88%. Kenrich 88%, Jalen 88%, Joe 88%, Wiggins 85%. I think Wallace is kind of interesting if he's going to be I know you didn't rank him that high, but if he's the one that's kind of lost in the shuffle, if there's a way to say that, I like him for tournaments. That's sort of the same thing we're seeing on DK. Kenrich, Joe, Jalen, Carlson, Wiggins are all ahead. Like that's the 5. And then you got to scroll down. Maybe did I pass him? Where is he? Youngblood coming in at 1%, by the way, on my projections. So I just think a way to be a little bit different on the Thunder. And I don't think it'd be shocking if Wallace was the highest scoring player on the Thunder. Wouldn't shock me. Would it shock you?
So from a fantasy perspective, I mean, I know it wouldn't shock me from a DK scoring perspective. I think from a total points perspective, it would be, but I think Wallace is also one of those guys that does have some volatility both ways, because you could say, okay, Kason Wallace, when he's playing, he's usually playing with Chet Holmgren, SGA, Jalen Williams, all these guys. He doesn't really get to do anything. So maybe in a game like this, he gets to, spread his wings a little bit more. Maybe he sees a little bit more usage. Maybe we can actually see what he can do in this sort of scenario. We haven't seen that a ton in his career. Lord King Guru mentioned, the Thunder, they do like Wallace. He's going to be a guy who plays in their playoff rotation, so maybe he won't play a ton of minutes. I do think that that could be, he would probably be the guy whose minutes are cut if the game blows out. He would, in my opinion, be the most safe guy to say he's not going to be on the floor at the end of the game. But, teams like to reward these kinds of players when they get the chance to, and especially a guy like Kason Wallace who doesn't really get to take on a ton of usage, have these big nights. This could be that perfect time for him to do so. And we've seen the Thunder keep games close when they have crazy rotation. So 10.5 point spread, we've certainly seen, longer spreads covered in the NBA. So I don't think a blowout is necessarily a lock here. I do think they probably do get blown out, but we could see Kason Wallace play 35 plus minutes, but he's probably the one that's the most volatile projection wise, in my opinion.
I was trying to run some stuff on Court IQ. I don't know if you dove into Court IQ, but I did get some. I kicked off Mitchell, Caruso, Hartenstein, Williams, SGA. I was trying to kick off all the ball handlers basically. And I was trying to figure out who's going to handle the ball, and then Ousmane Deng had the biggest assist rate. I didn't kick him off. I guess I can run it again, but I'm going to lose more minutes, lose more sample size. Holmgren was the second guy with assist rate, then Kenrich, then Kason Wallace. Kason Wallace, probably in that circumstance, a 12.3% usage bump. Again, I didn't kick off Holmgren. You can't kick everybody off. You're just losing sample size. But his usage is the biggest amongst those that are playing, 25.6%, a 12.3% bump. That's in 125 minutes. No, I'm sorry. That's in 39 minutes. So, grain of salt, I guess. But I just think there's a chance. But to your point, I remember this is a long time ago. Maybe you remember this, Kyle, but you remember Coach Pop, the great Coach Pop, when he invented tanking, when he invented resting. He didn't invent tanking. He invented resting. But many, many years ago, I think it was on TNT. In the Big Three. Remember the Heatles? Remember the LeBron and Bosh and Wade? He rested all of his guys, his entire team against the Heat. And it went down to the last shot in that game. They busted their ass. Matt Bonner was at a big game or something like that. I don't recall who won, but I remember it was a last shot victory for somebody. But the teams, I think they kind of like it. It's sort of a fun challenge, if nothing else. These guys are up for it. I think Wallace and these guys are excited to play against San Antonio and getting a big responsibility. What are we doing with the Spurs if we happen to lose, or do we like the Spurs in general? How do we feel about Wemby? Maybe Wemby just dominates whatever the Thunder are throwing out there, and he's not projecting amazing. But again, it's not hard. If you want Wemby, you can get Wemby, and your lineup is still going to be good. It's not going to be optimal, but it's still going to be good. And then what if we lose Castle? Your thoughts as far as the Spurs?
Yeah, I think right now Wemby and Castle are the only two that I'm really considering playing, just because those guys are the two most permanent, efficient players on the team. And I mean, obviously, this game does go sideways, which it easily could. Wemby could still play 28, 29, 30 minutes, and he could still score 65 DK points. So you do have a couple of outs, even if the game doesn't go out and go perfectly. And also, like, they don't have anybody. I mean, not many teams do have anybody that can defend Wemby, but they certainly don't right now. And then you also throw in the fact that if you're playing 4 or 5 Thunder, you do want the game to stay close, especially if you're playing, anybody but Youngblood and Barnheiser, and I guess even Carlson, although I think Carlson will be fine either way. But if you're playing any of these starters, the closest game stays, the more they have a chance to play 36 to 38 plus minutes, rather than, maybe on the lower end, it's a game goes real sideways. So Wemby does correlate well with, a major Thunder stack. And then Castle, I think 6'8" is just a little bit too cheap for him. Again, another guy who can be super productive in, a limited time. So even if he only plays 32 minutes, he could easily put up 40 DK points. So those two are where I'm at right now. If Castle's out, I think Fox would get a little bit of a bump. He'd probably take the interest that I had in Castle, and I'd probably just put that towards Jaren Fox. And then I do think it would make guys like Vassell and Champagny look a little bit better, but I don't know if it's enough to get me on them.
That's pretty much where I'm at as well. And then you also want to say, as far as Thunder, Spurs, you just got to play it. You can't ignore it. It's just a matter of how much Thunder is too much Thunder. But 3, 4, 5, something like that. I do like Wemby as a run back, and kind of keep an eye on Castle. And maybe the Spurs just don't see a reason to play these guys. If they're on the fence 50-50, it's like, well, they play tomorrow night. San Antonio plays tomorrow night at Dallas, for what it's worth. Yeah. 2 teams in the front end. Houston's playing Charlotte tomorrow, and San Antonio at Dallas. I mentioned the 5 teams in the back half of a back-to-back. That's Boston, Denver, Milwaukee, New York, and the Thunder. The reason why all these guys are hurt is because they played last night. I guess SGA is legit hurt. Okay, let's scoot along to – this is a gross game, but I think this game could be fantasy-friendly to some extent. Memphis taking on Sacramento, 231.5. That is the total. The Kings are 1.5-point favorites, so it's the classic high and tight. Sacramento, they haven't been favored in a while, I don't think. Keegan Murray is still out. Domantas Sabonis officially questionable. Rumor is that they're going to keep him. I know there was rumors to Toronto. There was other teams that supposed. Well, Washington, that's not going to happen now because they got Davis. But we'll see. I guess maybe news will break during the show. Do we have an if-then setup for that? Because who was the guy? Renault played a ton of minutes the other day in a situation where Sabonis didn't go. I know they have Precious as well. Let's see. We have an if-then setup, I believe. Or is it well, I'll just ask you. Memphis. Oh, I should mention the pieces on Memphis that are not playing basketball tonight. A lot of players on the block. Ja, who, by the way, I don't know if you saw it. Apparently, Ja's team, whatever his agents and such, apparently they're not too hot in the idea of playing for Sacramento. You don't say. He plays for the second worst team in the league, the second worst organization, and he doesn't want to get traded to the worst organization in basketball. Yeah, I wouldn't want to. He's like, yeah, I'm open to Miami and Minnesota. Really? No shit. Yeah, Sacramento, not so much. Not so much. So who's in? Who's out for Memphis? Brandon Clark's still out. Walter Clayton, the trade is still pending. Kyle Anderson, the trade is still pending. Hendricks, trade still pending. So I assume those guys are not going to be in. Same with Niang. Pippen was upgraded to doubtful. Just kind of keep an eye on that. And I assume he's coming back soon. Scottie Pippen, that is. And the big one is Sante Aldo, who's officially questionable. We are projecting Gigi Jackson to start, as well as Ty Jerome, although Jerome has been awesome. It's just like, how many minutes are they going to let him play? And it was the FanDuel lost their minds with the bump he got. He's like 6'9" over there. Come on, FanDuel. Yeah. He's played 20 and 20. I presume that's what we're going to project going forward until otherwise notified. I cannot imagine. He's been great, but there's no way I play Jerome on FanDuel. How are you seeing the Kings and the Grizz? How much do you care about waiting for Aldama? How much do you care about waiting for Sabonis?
I certainly think it's a good spot. I mean, if Aldama starts, I think that signifies a little bit less of a worry on a potential minutes limit. Believe it or not, Santi Aldama is a sneaky 7 foot tall. I mean, maybe that might be a little bit boosted up a bit in the old team records there, but he's the tallest guy they have on their team. After that, they don't really have many bigs. Obviously, they don't have Edey, traded away Landale. Brandon Clark's out. I think their next tallest player is Prosper at 6'7". So Aldama, he might not be ready to play a ton of minutes, but he might be asked to, just because of the fact that he's going to be their best center option in this spot. And in that sense, whoever's getting the center minutes on the other side, it's a really good matchup for them on the boards. Obviously, Sabonis, if he's in, he's got a really good spot. It is tough to say you have confidence in him playing a ton of minutes because they've been cautious with him and they have no reason not to be. But if he's out, and we see right now get minutes. Right now we have right now up to like 27 or 28 minutes if Sabonis is out. So that would certainly help him. Maybe not see like the 32-minute spike that we have seen at times because Eubanks is back, but nonetheless, he would still be in line for a very solid projection if Sabonis is ultimately ruled out. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for at this point, because Sabonis, I think it's a fantastic spot for him, but at 8-6 and feeling like it's difficult to get him to 30 minutes, even in a game that's close, because they have so many bigs that they can give minutes to. They still have Precious and even Cardwell and Eubanks. So I just think it's tough to play Sabonis, even though the matchup is so good for him. So at this point, I'm kind of hoping he's out and we could play Maxime Reynaud off the slotting into the starting lineup, but currently off the bench right now. But at 4.9 as one of my favorite salary saving options, that would be pretty contrarian after the way the news could break if we get it later news. But that's what I'm looking at right now for the Kings. Outside of that, I have no interest anywhere else. I just don't think that you can be confident in projecting where usage is going to go with adding DeAndre Hunter into the fold and Malik Monk also back in the rotation. Looks like he's going to be at least a permanent part of the rotation now. He's a high usage player as well. So all these big usage guys are tough to project, because not only because of minutes, but also with that usage and how you want to break that up. So whoever starts at center is where I'd have my interest on the Kings, and fairly difficult to trust Sabonis to have a ceiling in the spot because of the minutes limit. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for, is him to sit for this one. On the other side, Aldama and Cedric Coward are my two favorite plays. Coward's going to have to hit the glass. I mean, he's probably their second best rebounder regardless if Aldama plays or not, but he's going to need to be, involved on the glass, to say the least. So I think he has double-double upside in this matchup against the Kings. I also think he could go out there and score 18 to 20 plus points. Obviously, Ty Jerome and Gigi Jackson are going to take up a lot of usage, but he'll certainly have his hand in the mix there as well. So those two are certainly my favorite Memphis guys. Ty Jerome at 5.5, and what'd you say the FanDuel price was, like 6.9?
I think it's 6.9. Let me confirm. I remember doing rankings during the day, and I could not believe. Yeah, he's 6'9" over there. Like, get out of town. Like, come on.
Yeah,
I know he's played well, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah, if you want to back Ty Jerome, go do it in the prop markets. I think it's tough to do so in DFS, just because, again, he's only played 20 minutes in back-to-back games. When that's the case, it seems like that's their current limit for him. Maybe he gets a couple more as time goes on, and obviously with the close game, I think 23 to 24 is probably like his ceiling right now, so difficult to play him at those price tags. Cam Spencer has really taken the back seat from a usage and assist perspective with Jerome back in the fold. So for me, it's Coward, Aldama, and then Jackson, and then Ty Jerome. I don't mind in the prop markets. Don't even mind like considering a bit of a ladder up to like 25 points there. I took his over 14.5 points earlier this morning, but probably not getting to him in DFS.
Who was the ladder you hit the other day on like 5 or 6 threes? God, who was that?
Maybe Igor Doyman.
Yeah, Yeoman. Yeah, there you go. Shout out to you for getting the Yeoman. What was the top number? Were you like 5 or 6? Like what? 15 to 1, 10 to 1?
25 plus threes and 6 plus 3, or sorry, 25 plus points and 6 plus threes. Both were right around 10 to 1. So yeah, that was a fun night.
Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, the thing with we're giving Jackson 28 minutes. I like him. My only issue with Coward is that like they tend to have like a cap on him, right? Minutes wise, like they won't raise him above 30. They're pretty cautious with him, but also the price is pretty fair. I was thinking maybe Sabonis kind of, they can kind of give him like a I'm staying game, because Sabonis this is probably in his head in some ways. He's certainly heard plenty of trade rumors, and this is a good matchup to take advantage of and put a big number. But the tricky part with him is how much they can allow him to play. Can they let him play 32, 33? Maybe, probably not. He played 33 versus New York for what it's worth. He hasn't been very good. We should also mention that. But this is a good matchup to take advantage of. By the way, you see the Bulls have nobody above 6'9" as far as height. And was it somebody said they had like 10 guards? I saw a tweet that somebody put out. I didn't count them, but what a weird construction that Chicago has right now as far as their roster. You mentioned the prop market, Kyle. I should mention, tell people about PickLabs. PickLabs, the newest RotoGrinders feature, lets you scan the best player prop and pick 'em bets in just seconds. Everything is broken down for you for edges, win rates, value. You're going to be looking at a clean board. You're looking at it right now. You see the clean board right there on the screen. It'll show you which plays actually stand out across the various sports books if you're choosing. We see producer Steve picking a sports book right now. I think he's going with DK. He picked DraftKings. Depending on where you live, what state, obviously some are legal, some are not, depending on where you're at. Maybe where you're at, Underdog. You can pick Underdog. You can pick Prize Picks. When you see something you like, you can go ahead and just pick it. PickLabs will go ahead and build the slip for you, send it straight to the book of your choice. You're not ready for this, Kyle. I don't know if you're ready for this or not, but do you happen to see something? It doesn't necessarily be near the top of the board, but anything that stands out for you as far as some props? I know you wrote some props 3 o'clock in the morning like you tend to, and those numbers might have moved. Maybe you moved them for all we know. But anything you like as far as in the player prop streets this point?
Yeah, I do like those Cole Anthony numbers that are popping the unders. Those might have moved, but yeah, I do have some other plays that I gave out earlier in the day, but also in PickLabs now. I know every time I'm on the show, people are talking about ladders and whatnot, but we also have a ladders tool for NFL only right now. I'm assuming NBA and other sports will come later, but yeah, we have a ladder helper, I suppose, for NFL, which has been really nice. Gives you all the the top percentages and whatnot throughout the board and makes things easier. I mean, obviously, when you're looking for ladders, you have to sort through so many different options, and you always want to find the best number when it comes to ladders because, for example, those Jaeger threes numbers. I think the 6+ threes was 10-1 on one book, but like 6-1 on another one. If you're constantly costing yourself money on those long shots, it's going to add up. I mean, it adds up nonetheless. But if you're looking at minus 120 on one book compared to minus 115, you can live with that. It's not the end of the world. But when you're talking 10-1 compared to 6-1, you always got to try to find the best number. So yeah.
All right. What do we build something here, Steve? I see Cole Anthony, and what else? Do we throw something else in there? I'm not sure. Steve got mad at me the other day. I was trying to pick some football, and he's like, "No, it's a basketball show. We cannot pick football." But I am excited that we do have ladders for football. I mean, end of the season, I guess, for one more game, and it'll be a thing next year. But yeah, looking forward to that. But yeah, it's just a click. It's just a click away, and it'll build a slip for you. I think all we have in there right now is Cole Anthony. Yeah, I don't think you can play them all. Oh, Sadiq Bey. We picked Sadiq Bey more than 2.5 assists. And if you just literally click that button, it'll send you straight to the DK site. There you go. Producer Steve showing it off to the people.
There's also a Cornet number that's popping right now in there, under 14.5 PRA. I like that one. I have him projected for 11 PRA, so I like that one. Bridges, those unders look good as well. So yeah, there's some solid plays there. Now it looks like we're pretty high on some of these Westbrook unders. There is some volatility there with his minutes and his usage with, like I mentioned, with Hunter and Monk being more involved there. So those, 4 or 5 plays I think would make for a pretty good slip.
Last game of the night, Cleveland at the Clippers. Jim Harden no longer on the Clippers. He's on the Cavs, so he's not playing tonight. As far as the total, 222.5. Clippers are 5-point dogs here at home. They did acquire Darius Garland. He's also out. Evan Mobley is still out for Cleveland. I'm bouncing back and forth as far as the teams because I'm looking at the injury report. The big one is Zubac. Zubac ruled out. midday downgrade. They say it's nothing to do with trade stuff. It's a personal issue. We are projecting Brook Lopez to start. I know John Collins got a nice bump as well. I think one of the best, safest like big spends on the slate for me is Kawhi. I feel pretty good about Kawhi here. Feel pretty good about Mitchell as well, but just lineup construction wise, I landed on Kawhi. I also thought Jared Allen, maybe you tell me, kind of a sneaky bump, a bump, not just no Mobley, but now no Zubac to deal with. Lopez might drag you away from the basket and some, defensively, but I think his life was a little bit easier. We did see a career game for Allen the other day. We don't expect that to repeat, but I do think he's got a little bit more on the bone in the absence of Zubac. You tell me, Cavs, Clippers, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe we see Lopez pick up some more minutes and therefore push Allen out to the perimeter a bit more. But yeah, I'm not too concerned about that. I think primarily when you get the big time value from Allen on these spike games, it's when he can end up having 10 dunks in a game like he did the other night. Where I looked down and I thought my phone was glitching because I looked at the ESPN app and he had 80 fantasy points. I was like, well, that can't be right, because I knew he only played like 28 or 29 minutes. So that was one of the more wild games of the season. But yeah, certainly a better offensive matchup for him with no Zubac. He should be able to kind of do whatever he wants, whether it's going to be Lopez or even Niederhauser, who we saw a couple times a few weeks ago when we had this same sort of situation on the slate. And Niederhauser, he can be pretty handsy, so maybe Allen can get to the line a few more times as well. But I do agree with Kawhi Leonard. I like him quite a bit in this spot. He's up to like a 38% usage rate this season with no James Harden. His points prop was 25.5 earlier in the morning. Took the over on that. I think I moved up to 26.5, but I would still play the over at 26.5 as well. So I like Kawhi. I do like John Collins quite a bit as well. We've seen his minutes sort of go up. He does get a nice usage bump with no Harden, and now his minutes feel a bit safer, and his rebounding numbers feel a bit better with no Zubac. So John Collins at 5.6, I like quite a bit. And I think you can still play Niederhauser as well at 3K. I think it's probably going to be a guy who just plays the non-Brook Lopez center minutes, but we've seen them be cautious with Lopez at times. They're not dying to play Brook Lopez for 30 minutes. So if it's a game where Lopez plays 24, 25 minutes and Niederhauser can play in the low 20s, I think he can certainly benefit there. Not a great matchup, but at 3K doesn't take too much to get there. I do think that he's better with Harden on the floor because obviously you have the pick and roll lob setup that he really thrived on in that last game that we saw him play a ton of minutes. So that will probably hurt him a little bit, but still at 3K, I think he's fine. But definitely not better than the Thunder options that we've talked about, but worth noting maybe if you're playing night slate or just looking for an off the wall pivot. And then on the other side, Donovan Mitchell, I do like quite a bit as well. This could also be one of those games where it's like, okay, you got a big time usage guy coming in. This might be your last game to take 30 plus shots consistently. So I would not be surprised to see a lot of usage go Donovan Mitchell's way. So I do like him quite a bit at 9.6.
Yeah, pretty good hammer on the slate. Different players available now for Cleveland. They added, Dennis Schroeder. They added Keon Ellis. They added somebody else too. Is there a third person? I'm not thinking. Maybe is that just it? They got rid of Hunter. It doesn't matter. No, there's some new players here, but for our purposes, for DFS purposes, I don't think any of those guys matter. We still have Crunch Time knocking on the door coming in here any second. I believe it's Noto and Beer and Roth. I need a Plums play. Who are you feeling in the Plums? Who's breaking the slate tonight?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of really good chalky options, and I do think for what it's worth, there's a lot of situations where the starting lineups aren't necessarily guaranteed either. So make sure we're confirming those. But I think a value option that I think might be able to get you off of some chalk that I don't think I mentioned enough. So maybe I'm using him as a Plums play to really talk about him again. But Jose Alvarado, I like quite a bit at 3.6. I don't think anybody's going to be playing him here. He played 30 minutes last game. I think that's difficult to project. But if he plays 24 to 26 minutes, I think he'll look pretty good. So I do want to mention him. And then I'll throw out another name, Cedric Coward. I like him as well here at 5.2. Again, I think he has legit double-double upside. Sacramento's bad at defending inside the paint, and that's where he gets a lot of his production done scoring-wise. So I think Coward could easily go up there and post an 18.10 rebound type performance, and at 5.2, that would certainly be enough to have a solid performance. So give me Coward. Obviously staying away from the OKC guys as a Plums play, but again, I do want to reiterate that's where all the best plays are on the slate. But from a contrarian perspective, I'll go with Coward.
For those just joining, your favorite play on the Thunder is who? If you had to pick one.
Kendrick Williams.
Yeah, I had Kenrich earlier in the day, and I flipped to Jalen. I mean, I like them both, and I'm sure
It's like a 1A, 1B with those guys. I mean, they're both so elite. I just think that if the game does go sideways, Kenrick's probably a little bit safer to get run, but I do think they both probably play and blow out regardless. They're both going to play 30-plus minutes likely either way, so I think they're both very strong options.
And then my other thing is I think I'm going to have a case on Wallace lineup because that's a way to play Thunder and be different, I guess, because he's like the 5th or 6th guy. I mean, not that he's, completely contrarian, just on his team, though. He's the 5th most popular player. All right, let's do it. Let's see what's the segue to crunch time right now. We got a Roth slate. Remember last night with the Pacers? Now just insert Thunder, and there you go. We're running it back. Same thing. Because the NBA they don't allow us to have nice things. Did you want to watch the Thunder and the Spurs tonight? You think that'd be a fun matchup? Well, the Thunder. No. Yeah. That's not happening. I mean, unless you're a big fan of Isaiah Joe, then tonight's your night. How are things otherwise, Rob?
Things are good. I'm kind of excited about the golf forecast. I don't know if you saw and read my golf write-up, but if you are playing golf tomorrow, I highly recommend you read the forecast, the overview, because it's pretty interesting what's going on.
Is there big day-night splits? Is that what's happening?
Probably. And if you are looking at the wrong forecast models, you will completely miss it. If you go to weather.com or even Windfinder, you will completely miss it unless you're clicking on the right forecast models.
Noto, is that like a dream place to watch? I don't know how many golf events you go to if you care about such things. You like watching it on TV. But waste management, I don't. Maybe you're too old for it. I don't know is there an age limit? You can't. You got to be under like 30 to get in is a 16 hole 16? Yep. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I've been a couple times. It's a lot of fun. I do feel a little too old at this point. Much rather watch it on TV. But yeah, it's a once in a lifetime experience if you haven't been.
I think Roth would go. If somebody had a ticket, Roth, you're going, right?
Roth would crush it.
I would act the way that you act at that tournament at any other tournament as well. Just to be clear, I don't need my peers getting drunk to do it myself and have a good time.
Beer, any interest in going to a golf tournament? Is that your thing?
A good buddy of mine is there as we speak, watching some of the practice rounds at 16. So he's sending me pictures. You talk about too old, Dean. I'm probably double, triple the age of who would be there, but it's been on my list. So one day I'll make it down there. I heard it's just an insane environment. So got to experience certain things in life.
All right, myself and Kyle, we're going to step aside and get out of here. You guys got a lot to break down the next 39 minutes or so. Kyle, shout out to you. Thank you for jumping on. Last second technical issues with Bobby, but thank you once again, Kyle, for jumping on. Do hit that like button, do subscribe, turn on notifications. Don't go anywhere. You got 39 minutes of crunch time. It's Roth, it's Noto, it's Beer. Roth, it's all yours.
It is indeed. Let's get to it. Ladies and gents, you know the drill. It's CT and it's two of the OGs coming at you. You got Beer in the house. They call him the Beermakersfan. He probably has a real name too, but I don't know. It's Beer. It's Chris Prince, right?
I don't know. It's been Beer for so long. Nobody calls me by my real name. So
it's Beer in the house. What up, Beer?
I'm good, brother. The old trade deadline has been active and moves everywhere. So it's one of them slates you're scrambling, and then you get OKC, and so it should be fun. But I feel like we're going to be scrambling here for the next 40 minutes or so. But glad to be here. Chat's on fire. Let's rock.
Okay, very good. We like a little bit of chaos, and trade deadline always brings that. We shine in the chaos. Noto always shining. What's up, man? You excited about the slate? And, of course, you got the golf tournament tomorrow?
Yeah, it should be a fun week, fun night as well. Although, man, I was hoping the Jazz would make a move. They finally did, and they give up 3 firsts for Triple J. I don't know how I feel about that. He's a good defender, but man, he shows up like 30% of the time, so I don't feel super great about it.
Yeah, that's not the move anyone wants their home team making. No. Here's 3 firsts for a dude who sometimes plays.
They've been stacking up picks for years now, and this is how they use them.
Yeah, not an ideal situation, but we got to dive into what we've got going on already. The chat's throwing questions at us. We will get to those chats for sure, but we want to kind of give you a general rundown, position by position, site by site. Then we will get to your questions. Beer, give me the rundown. I heard there's at least there's chaos in Oklahoma, right? You can play just about any of those dudes. What are some of the other spots that we're watching?
Memphis is very interesting, and I think that was the spot before, all this OKC news where we can really hunt a lot of value out of Memphis, and all that's going to do is knock ownership down on some of those guys. So that's the main story. It's going to be picking the right OKC guys. If you look point per dollar, it's probably the top 7 or 8 are all Oklahoma City Thunder, which makes sense. Pretty much sitting everybody tonight. So I think there's little spots that whether it was a trade or injuries or some teams are going to be undermanned, understaffed. So I think there's some spots where you can obviously play the Thunder, but mix in some of these other guys that won't see the ownership that they probably should tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Well, let's dive right into it. We like to start at point guard on DK. Noto, lead us off.
All right. So a lot of good plays here. I like Ryan Rollins, even though Kevin Porter Jr. is back. I don't think he's going to play full complement of minutes just yet. Good matchup against the Pelicans. Rollins has averaged 1.25 fantasy points per minute without Giannis. Portis is out as well. So I think he makes a lot of sense. Excuse me. And then when we talk about the OKC guys, a lot of them are going to be popular. I think Cason Wallace could be the odd man out because right now we haven't checked it at like the 5th or 6th highest ownership on his own team. Now he's still at 30%, but it's at least a little bit contrarian way to get exposure to the Thunder. Not a good matchup against San Antonio, but I think they're only going to have 8 active guys tonight, and he's likely going to draw the start at point guard. So I like him as kind of a way to differentiate a little bit with the Thunder. Peyton Pritchard's a tough one for me because I kind of feel like Boston's just going to get blown out, but the spread's only at 7.5 points. He sees massive usage boost, massive fantasy point per minute boost without Jaylen Brown. It's an awful matchup, but man, I'm torn on what to do with Pritchard. So hopefully Beard can have a stronger take than me and help me out with that one. And then I don't know. There's just not a lot of guys. I don't love Derek White. I think I prefer Pritchard over White, but again, I might fade both of them. Like Trey Murphy's okay, Brunson's okay, Spencer's okay, but not a lot of plays that I love at point guard, which is usually not the case.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Beer, your thoughts?
I agree on the Cason Wallace call. Everyone else is going to be up there in ownership, and he's kind of lagging behind. So really like that one. Just finding a way to get different with OKC, I think could be super important tonight. So love that call. Ty Jerome's a guy I really like. I know he's on somewhat of a minutes limit, but they are thin on bodies. They are thin on offense. They're thin on a lot of things, and it's a great matchup. We're talking about one of the worst defenses in basketball in Sacramento. So he's a guy that shouldn't draw much ownership. A little bit of risk with that minutes cap, but he showed the other night what kind of upside that he can have even in limited minutes. So really like him in the mid-range. I'm Pritchard over White as well. Not the easiest matchup, as we know, and certainly both guys are going to draw some ownership, but somebody's got to put the ball in the basket for this team without Jaylen Brown. So I think Pritchard will be that guy. He should see a ton of shots in this matchup. So volume can trump matchup in a lot of ways. So he's a fine option in the mid-range. Chris Dunn is interesting. That's another team. The Clippers without James Harden are going to be forgotten on this slate. And there's a lot of usage that can go around to all of those guys. So I do like him. I think Jose Alvarado is interesting as a cheap play at 3,600 to get off some of the chalk. Javon Small for Memphis, another guy nobody's really going to have in the cheap seats. And Dylan Harper, who should get run. You worry about the blowout there. I think this guy should get some significant run. He's only 4,200. Has had some big games against this team. It feels like they played about 50 times this season. So you have some pretty good data in those matchups. So I think Dylan Harper, another guy that shouldn't see much ownership, provides nice upside at these prices.
Okay, very good. Shooting guard.
I think Cedric Howard, probably my favorite at 5,200. So you're going to hear a lot of Memphis out of me. Love Memphis tonight. To pair with OKC, to get different from OKC, however you want to play it. So I like him. If I'm spending, I'm going with Anthony Edwards, who just was announced in at 9,400. I think he's one of the better spends on the slate. Obviously, Isaiah Joe is going to be very popular tonight. I'm probably going underweight on Isaiah Joe. I mean, I get it, and everybody gets a boost there, but there's going to be a few guys. You can't have them all. So he's one I'll probably go a little underweight with. I prefer Cason Wallace for only 200 more. Or even going to some of these bench guys, Chris Youngblood, at 3,200. Finding those pieces that nobody's going to have. They're still going to play solid minutes in a solid role. So Youngblood stands out there. Herb Jones is good value at 4,600. And then Cam Spencer. I prefer Coward, but I think both of those guys from Memphis are in play tonight.
Okay. Note a lot of options there at shooting guard. Who are you playing?
Yeah, the Thunder have some good names on their bench tonight. Youngblood, Barnheiser.
Youngblood. Let's go.
Youngblood.
Yeah, I might consider changing my last name here soon.
A rapper or a rap group, Youngbloods. Yeah. Anyways, who do you got?
Yeah, I do agree on Cedric Coward. I mean, we only have him projected for 29 minutes, but I do think there's upside for him to get over 30 in this spot. They're just so shorthanded, especially after the trade. Doesn't look like the traded guys are going to be active tonight. Good matchup against Sacramento too. So I agree with Beer. He's probably my favorite point per dollar option. Love Isaiah Joe. He's going to be chalky, but I'm just going to eat a lot of the Thunder chalk. I think I'm going to play 4, maybe 5 in my DraftKings lineup tonight. I like Donovan Mitchell quite a bit. He is an easy guy to spend up on. You can do the little skinny stack with Kawhi Leonard. No James Harden yet. It's kind of funny that those teams traded, for Harden for Garland last night. Now they're facing each other tonight. Kind of interesting. But, yeah, I like Mitchell anytime. Garland's out, and then you have Mobley out as well. So he's had a usage rate above 40% in 2 of the last 5 games. So if we get one of those games, I think he could, have a really nice outing. Outside of that, yeah, you can go to Youngblood to get different on OKC. We tried Dunn last night, didn't really work. Or maybe it was 2 nights ago. That's pretty much it for me. There's some of these matchups that I just like the Houston guys, Durant, and I just have a hard time playing them against Boston.
Yeah. All right. Small forward, Noto.
All right. Love Aaron Wiggins. Anytime he's gotten the opportunity, he has crushed. He's been a good per minute producer his entire career, even playing alongside SGA and some of those other high usage guys. So I think he's going to see minutes in the 30s. I think he's going to have probably the highest usage rate of anyone on the Thunder. So he's my favorite. Again, I like Kawhi Leonard. I like pairing him with Donovan Mitchell and hoping that game shoots out a little bit in the last game of the night. Outside of that, I don't know. I mean, Kyle Kuzma with the huge game last night. Anytime you have faith in this guy, he never shows up. But, man, the usage rate was up to 36%. And now that KPJ is active, I do think that's going to help his ownership quite a bit. So I'll play some Kuzma, a good matchup against the Pelicans. I like Gregory Jackson. I'm sure Beer is going to be on that one as well since he loves Memphis. And then Barnheiser's another way to get different on OKC. See if there's anyone I'm missing. I don't think we need the Clippers guys. Like Kobe Sanders played 34 minutes the other night, but he's more expensive. I think there's better values elsewhere. And I'm not really on Toronto either. Like Barrett projects well, but I just think there's better options tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Beer, your thoughts at small forward.
Oh, well, are we getting an A-Town stomp?
I was about to say, I don't need likes for that. I do that for free. I just A-Town stomping around my house.
Let's get to the important stuff here.
Beer, small forward.
I agree on Aaron Wiggins. I think he's probably my favorite Thunder player. It's going to be 60+% owned, but it's one of them. You just eat the chalk and you look for ways to get different. So really like that one. Barnheiser, another one that you can play. Another cheap, OKC bench guy that you don't feel as good about, but neither will the field. So I think there's some leverage there. And none of this Gregory Jackson. It's Gigi Jackson, baby, and I love him tonight. You think about they don't have any big bodies. I mean, Triple J's gone, Aldama, Landale, like they just don't have anybody. So I think between him and Prosper, who we'll get to, I like them both quite a bit tonight. Kawhi is my favorite spend on the slate, and I think he's too cheap. You take a high usage guy, you take James Harden away, his usage goes up another 4%. We're talking a 37.5% usage rate for Kawhi Leonard when James Harden is off the floor. So an easy spend for me. He's a 10K player in this scenario, and you're getting him at 9,300. So he's a primary option for me. Kuzma, I'm not trusting. The usage has been nice. The shots have been nice. They need the offense, but I'm with Noto. Like anytime you feel great about this guy, and it's a great matchup. The price isn't great at 6,700. So I'm going to leave that one alone, even though his ownership, has come down a little bit. And I don't mind going back to Sadiq Bey, coming off a down game. I think that's going to scare some people away. But this guy's really been playing well. I think he bounces back. Milwaukee defense has not been good either. So certainly a game to target with two bad defenses there.
Okay, let's go to power forward.
OG Anunoby is one of my favorites tonight. No Josh Hart, so you get some bumps there for these New York guys. There's not any huge usage bumps when you run the numbers, but I just like OG's all-around game in this spot. I mentioned Prosper. I think he plays a good amount of minutes tonight. He's down at 3,600 with no ownership. Kenrich Williams is going to be your chalk here, probably 70+% owned at 4,700. So he's fine. We mentioned Wiggins here, Barnheiser. So all the OKC guys are in play. Jalen Williams as well. A couple other guys. I love the Clippers tonight as well. So John Collins is in play. That's pretty much it for me at power forward.
Noto, your thoughts at the 4?
Let's see. Yeah, I was just reading your weather forecast for the tournament tomorrow. Man, I might have to rethink some of my lineups.
Yeah. It's an annoying one to try to read while on a show too, because it's kind of it's in the weeds. It's a little longer than I usually go. But yeah, give it some thoughts.
Yeah. I like the in-depth. I also like the target the AM guys. That's cool too. But yeah, power forward, Kenrich Williams, I think makes a lot of sense. Jalen Williams makes a lot of sense. I mean, Jalen Williams has always been a really good per minute guy, and he's probably going to start tonight. I like both of them. As I talked about, I'm going to play 4 or 5 Thunder guys in my main lineup. So is Gregory's middle name with the G? Is that why he's GG Jackson?
That I can't vouch for, but GG's a whole lot cooler than Gregory. That's all I know.
That's facts. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I like him. We got to wait on Aldama. If he's playing, I don't know. I might have a little bit of interest in tournaments, but I'd probably rather just play Jackson for $1,000 cheaper. I mean, on most slates, I would have interest in Collins now that Zubats is out, but I like the OKC guys a little bit better. Nobody's going to play Zion. It's hard to get different while not just playing the Thunder guys, because you play Thunder guys and you got to spend up on your last 3, and then you kind of look at it in a lot of similar lineups. So maybe the play is to just max it at 3 or 4 Thunder guys, so you get a little bit different.
Yeah. Okay. Clarkson is starting. Stud MLB says Gregory Gregorius Jackson, which probably isn't true, but I did get a chuckle out of. Clarkson starting mean anything to you? Is this of interest, Noto?
Yeah, he's usually, the 6-man type. So it's interesting for sure. I'll see if the projections team end up changing his minutes. Right now we have him at 16. So I got to think that goes up a little bit. I still don't think he's as good as the Thunder value though.
Yeah. Okay. And then just to be clear on the golf, Thursday afternoon, Friday morning.
Right.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we're on the same page here. We don't want any disconnect.
Yeah, and this is great because everyone just uses Windfinder, and it's pretty 10 miles per hour across the board. So it could be good.
Could be a little something for you. Okay. Let's go to center. Noto, what are you doing there?
Same names. You got Kenrich and Jalen here for OKC. Brandon Carlson's another OKC guy. We're not having him starting right now, at least not projected to, but I think he could still see minutes in the mid-20s. He's averaged well over a fantasy point per minute this season. I like Towns a little bit in tournaments. You would think it's a tough spot against Jokic, but he's had over 50 against Jokic in 4 of their last 6 meetings. No Hart, so I think that helps him a little bit. He's not a guy that I like to trust, but 8,300 is a pretty good price point for a guy that can get you 50 plus. That's probably it for my small field stuff, but I might play some Wemby just because I'm playing all the OKC guys. Might as well. And we have all the salary to spend. Might as well play some Wemby.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Beer?
Yeah, I love Wemby to go with anything, OKC or not. I mean, he should absolutely dominate here. Now, the minutes they're still keeping an eye on, but they're trending up. So I think he smashes tonight at very little ownership. So really like that spend. I agree on Towns. You worry a little bit about the back-to-back, but he's been playing pretty well. 8,300 is too cheap for him, so don't mind that one at all. I think he's going to have some decent ownership, but nothing near what we're going to see on some of these OKC guys. The Clippers is interesting. You never feel great about Brook Lopez. averaging about 0.8 fantasy points per minute. Niederhauser at minimum price. I probably would rather go Niederhauser, but not really excited with either of those guys. Mid-range options, I think Jared Allen's interesting at 6,900. Without Zubac, should be a little bit easier of a matchup for him. Miles Turner, I think, bounces back tonight at 62 against this New Orleans interior. And the best value is definitely Carlson at 3,500. I think he's a great cash game option. And even in tournaments, I think you're going to want some exposure there.
Okay, very good. We want to kick it over to FanDuel, talk about our build over there. But first, shout out to That Dude's Barbecue Jerky, who gives us the truth behind Gigi. He says Gigi is a nickname because his nieces and nephews couldn't pronounce Gregory, so they called him Gigi, and it stuck. So
all
there
right.
you have it.
I thought you were going to say, we got a new sponsor. That Dude's Barbecue Jerky. I'm like, oh, baby. When are the free samples coming?
Yeah.
Let's go.
We have all these lame ass sponsors. By the way, if you're sponsoring us, thank you. We appreciate it. But we do not have any as cool as That Dude's Barbecue Jerky. So
I'm still waiting on my lawnmower 4.0 or whatever.
Oh yeah, those were fun reads. I'm reading the lawnmower reads on Sirius XM when it first came out too.
That was like the manscaping thing, right?
And it was brand new, like nobody had ever done these reads, and they're like, "Okay, I need you to read this," and you're reading it like, "Really? I'm gonna read this out on Sirius Radio?" Like, okay,
it was like your sensitive man jewels.
It was great. Yeah, it was something else.
Oh man! All right, where are we going? Okay, we're over on FanDuel. That's where we're going. So, Beer, why don't you lead us off point guard on FanDuel? And we'll still have plenty of time for some questions.
Yeah, so a lot of the same names, obviously. Wallace, 4,300. Again, shouldn't see as much ownership as his teammates, so really like that. Pritchard, a little bit more expensive than DraftKings, but 72, still a fair price. I like going back to Chris Dunn. I know it's a roller coaster. You never know what you're going to get, but I think he's pretty good value tonight. KPJ is intriguing. I don't know what to expect, but again, neither does the field. So those are situations that you can jump on and take advantage of. If I'm spending, it's probably on Donovan Mitchell. I love the Mitchell Kawhi correlation. Probably going to be popular. You're going to see a lot of OKC and then that pairing as people spend their money. But both guys in a good spot. Westbrook a little bit cheaper over here at 6,900. So I don't mind that either. I'm trying to Alvarado, a guy brought up on DraftKings, should be 1% owned, I would guess. So 3,800 there. And then I like Castle if he plays. He's played well against this team. So if he's in the lineup, I haven't seen a note on him yet, but I think he's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Noto, your thoughts at point?
Yeah, Casey Wallace kind of feels like the free square over here, and where over on DraftKings, he feels like the contrarian play. 4,300 for a guy that should play 30 minutes. Pretty easy click for me. I like Ryan Rollins, like I mentioned. The usage rate's been there without Giannis in the lineup. He's put up 45 plus in 3 of his last 4 games. Good matchup at home against New Orleans. I do think Donovan Mitchell will be a little bit lower owned over on FanDuel. At least I'm hoping with that 10K price point. And then, yeah, again, I think I'm going to be underweight on the Boston guards. That's kind of my stand of the night, and I'm just hoping Houston runs away with this one.
Okay. Shooting guard, Noto.
Gosh, I got the sun like right in my face over here.
I see that. It's just perfectly terrible.
What is the sun?
Beer stays in the basement.
What is the sun you speak of?
He's got the bar behind him. He never has to leave.
Absolutely. I'm just waiting on my jerky now, so life will be good.
Yeah, I like Isaiah Joe, 3,900, kind of bit of a free square with Case and Wallace. I think you just play both of them on FanDuel. Ryan Rollins, who I talked about. I really like Jalen Tyson as a way to get different on FanDuel. High usage guy when Mobley and Garland are off the floor. And he gives you a little bit of leverage off of Donovan Mitchell if you don't want to play him. You have Youngblood here. Cedric Coward's probably going to be lower owned since he's 6.1 on FanDuel. Jalen Wells, I don't think a lot of people are going to play either. So, yeah, Memphis is a great way to get different tonight. I'm kind of with Beer on that one. And then if Aldama's out too, I mean, it's just going to be a great spot for Memphis.
Yeah. Okay. Beer, shooting guard.
Yeah, I really need Aldama to be out. So otherwise we're going to go into scramble mode here. But I agree that the Memphis is my team that I think is going to be a great pivot off or to add in to your OKC. But agree on Coward, agree on Wells. Both guys, great prices. Coward a little bit more expensive, but 6,100, still not a bad price on him. Trey Murphy, I like a lot at 8,100. Over here, Rollins at 87. So you got a little correlation between those two guys. Love the Tyson call. You know, DraftKings, we talk about his price has just gotten to a point. There's not much room left, but lagging behind a little bit here on FanDuel. So don't mind that. I prefer Wallace over Joe. Joe's really going to have at 3,900. He's really going to stand out. So I'll take the ownership discount there. Mentioned Youngblood as a way to get different at 35. And then Chris Dunn, I'll bring up again at 46. I think we had a question in the chat. I like him to bounce back tonight. You know, not the safest play in the world, but should see a nice bump in usage, minutes, and production, I think. So I don't mind going back to the well there.
All right, small forward beer.
Wiggins is my favorite here at 5K as a value, and Kawhi Leonard's my favorite spend at 9,500. So I'm going to have a lot of those two. Other guys I have, OG Anunoby, I mentioned on DraftKings. Really like him without Josh Hart. Tyson's a guy I'm mixing in at 6,200. My boy Gigi Jackson at a square 5K. That's the majority of my pool. One value play I really like, I don't think is going to draw a ton of ownership, is Jordan Miller of the Clippers. Back-to-back 20-point games. Going to need somebody to shoot the ball outside of Kawhi Leonard. I think he's a great value here. On FanDuel at just 4,900.
Yeah. Noto, your thoughts at small forward?
Yeah, it's Isaiah Joe, Wiggins. Again, I'm playing them both. I like Kawhi quite a bit. The usage rate goes up without Harden and Zubats. So those three are my favorite. And then I like Gigi Jackson. I'm going to try Kuzma. I'll probably regret it, but I think I'm going to go overweight on Kuzma. Coward and Wells are down here as well. I mean, we have Coward at 5%, Wells at 1%. Those are some great ownerships over on FanDuel. I wanted to play Jordan Miller on FanDuel tonight, but I just don't think we need to anymore. But he's been really good recently. I'm going to see more minutes tonight off the bench. So maybe if you're playing the late slate, something like that, get some Jordan Miller.
Yeah. Okay. Power forward.
You got all the OKC guys here. Kenrick, Jalen, Aaron Wiggins, Kawhi, Gigi Jackson. I don't think you need to mess around too much if you're playing cash games and small field tournaments. You just play those five guys there throughout your small forward, power forward, center. Jared Allen had a massive game the other night. I don't know if I want to chase that, but nice little matchup boost without Zubats. So maybe you can play some Jared Allen. He's also been pretty good without Mobley and Garland on the floor this season. And then for tournaments, again, I'm going to play some Towns. I just think it's a good spot for him. And for whatever reason, he plays pretty well against Jokic.
Yeah. Okay. Beer, power forward.
I mean, the pool here is, you know, pick two of these OKC guys, you know, pick your favorite. Wiggins should see the lowest ownership of the three, I would imagine. All three going to have ownership, but, you know, it's basically for me, those three and Kawhi Leonard, you know, and mixing and matching between them, adding in a little bit of Gigi Jackson here or there, but mostly avoiding, you know, a guy like Kyle Kuzma. I don't mind Jared Allen, but like Noto said, you know, he pops off for these big games, then can easily disappear. So, but some names that shouldn't see ownership a ton. We'll see if Sabonis plays. If he's in, I like him. Derek Queen is always in my pool, especially against this Milwaukee team. So mix in a little bit of him. Sadiq Bey, a little bit more expensive over here, but again, I think he bounces back. And then Towns, whenever you can get a center in at power forward, even at 8,800, more expensive than DraftKings, but still under 9K. But this is grab your OKC guys, grab some Kawhi Leonard, get different at some other spots.
Okay. Is center one of those spots?
You can. I mean, Jalen Williams is going to be the popular choice. I'm sure Carlson will be right there in ownership. And outside of those two guys, you're not going to see much ownership on anyone, you know, even some of the cheap Clippers pieces. So, you know, as much as I do besmirch Brook Lopez, 3,800, not a terrible price on him. Luka Garza should play a decent role tonight at 4K. Don't mind him. Mitchell Robinson at 4,300. So those are strictly pivots I want to get different from OKC. If you're playing cash, it should be likely one of Carlson or Jalen Williams. So that's the route in cash you want to go. Wemby at 11.6 is not tough to get in tonight. You know, you can make the same case for Jokic, Şengün. I think these guys could all be under 10% owned. So you either pick the chalk with OKC, or I would spend up on a Jokic, on a Wemby to make my lineup a little bit different.
Yeah. Noto?
Yeah, just got a question about Jokic as a contrarian play, and we have all the value in the world. I mean, I don't love the back-to-back, or that, you know, he hasn't played a ton of minutes since coming back from injury. I think he played 31 last night. Prior to that, it was 29, 24. So maybe he only plays like 30 minutes tonight, but I think he's definitely, like, you need those raw points tonight more than the point per dollar options, because we have plenty of those. So I don't mind Jokic in tournaments. Carlson, Williams, both strong options for OKC. Beer, how many lineups would it take for you to play Miles Turner? Because I'm thinking about it in tournaments.
I think he bounces back. You know, he kind of a dud the other night, but he's been playing pretty well. Normally not a guy I play, but he has certainly stepped up without Giannis. So I think you can rock him tonight.
I hadn't played him in years, and then I played him the other night, and he put up like 45, and I'm so happy. I might just never play him again, and we'll end on a good note. But
take the dub.
Yeah. Like when you're gambling, you just walk away from the table sometimes.
Absolutely.
Okay, boys, let's open up to some questions here. We've got about 9 minutes until we hit lock. And also, of course, want to make sure everybody is aware of the coolest, newest tool in the industry. It's Pick Labs. It's the newest RotoGrinders feature. Lets you scan for the best player prop and pick 'em bets in seconds. Everything's broken down there for you, which is really nice. Edges, win rates, value. It shows you which plays stand out across sportsbooks and sites like Underdog and Prize Picks. And when you see something you like, it builds the slip, sends it straight to the book of your choice right there in the app. It is extremely convenient, and you can find it at rotogrinders.com/picklabs. So make sure you are checking that out. Let's jump into some of the QQs, starting with the Discord where the cool kids hang out. DK single entry GPP, Noto, Pritchard Carlson, or Ty Jerome and John Collins?
I mean, I would go number one, but again, I'm probably going to be underweight on the Boston guys.
Mm-hmm. Okay. DK GPP, right back to you, Noto. Westbrook or D White?
Derek White, and again, but I still like him over Westbrook.
Yeah. Okay. Beer, which OKC player of the five we are not rostering tonight? Hang on. Which OKC player of the five are we not rostering tonight if you're building one lineup? The five are Kason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, Jalen Williams, Kenrich Williams, Isaiah Joe.
I say Isaiah Joe.
Okay. Joe.
It's risky fading any of these guys, but
yeah,
he's the one I feel the least excited about.
Yeah. All right. Jim says, Beer, what do you think of Kobe, Sanders, Westbrook, and Levine? There's no commas or anything. I'm confused as hell. For GPPs on DraftKings.
I prefer Westbrook on FanDuel. I prefer Jordan Miller over Kobe Sanders, and I haven't landed on much Levine. So I hope that helps.
I think that did help much better than my terrible botched read of the question. Noto, FanDuel GPP, your favorite low-owned spend-up and your favorite value, FanDuel GPP. So your favorite cheapie and your favorite kind of contrarian spend.
For my contrarian spend, I'll go with Wemby. Only 7% ownership. And then favorite cheapie, contrarian, or just overall?
Nope, just straight up.
Probably Kenrich Williams.
Yeah, okay. Casey Douglas, Noto, DK GPP, your favorite bench piece from OKC?
Probably Carlson.
Yeah,
but he could start too. You never know. Okay.
Alan's Club says, hey, shout out Producer Steve for fixing up my RG Premium. Producer Steve is the man. He does it all. He deserves all the shout outs. Scrolling up in the Discord, by the way, we appreciate you hitting the thumbs up for us on Discord. If you haven't already done so, maybe it slipped your mind. Don't forget, it's free content. You just hit the little thumbs up. It does a lot for us, so we would greatly appreciate it. Beer A. Dean says, is there really any news left that we're waiting on? He says Spurs, maybe?
Yeah, Castle we're waiting on. Aldama we're waiting on. Those are probably Sabonis. So there's still quite a few names in the late games that I haven't seen any news on yet.
Okay. We'll go to Darren's question, Beer. FanDuel GPP, White Coward Joker or Allen Mitchell Rollins?
Allen Mitchell Rollins.
Okay. Beer, what do you have Collins ownership at?
John Collins?
Yes.
I would say I haven't looked at our projections. I'd say around 15 to 20%.
Okay. Very
Let me
good.
see what we have. You can go to the next one.
Okay. Noto, Trey Murphy or Derek White on FanDuel?
Got to go with Murphy.
Okay. Anger says, Noto, DKGPP Alvarado as a value to get a little different from some of those OKC plays.
Kyle Murray was talking him up on the last show. He's not a guy that I had my eye on, but he did play some big minutes the other night. And yeah, if you're playing large field stuff, I think it's okay. But if you're playing small field stuff, probably better not to.
Okay. Beer, do you have an answer on that?
I saw like 8%, so I was high on him.
Right.
So
very good. Beer on DK, Anthony Edwards or Donovan Mitchell?
oh, that's a great question. I'm gonna say Edwards, but both great spends tonight.
Okay. Mystery Relevant says almost 500 views and we don't have 100 likes. That's sad. We can do better. I can't. I already hit like you can do better. Hopefully the people out there can do better. But
Free content, people. Free.
Yeah. It's free for only for so long. Only if we're getting the likes. One might have to put it behind the paywall. Noto, Carlson or Lopez?
Let's go Carlson.
Beer D Mills says Fox or Pritchard on FanDuel?
Pritchard.
Juice says, is Jerome a contrarian FanDuel play? This is die to the price. I don't know what that part means, but is he a valid contrarian FanDuel play?
He absolutely is. You just have to know they've had him on a minutes limit. So he smashed the other night. I think they need his offense, so I still like him, but just know he's not going to play a pile of minutes.
Okay. Infinite says, Beer, is White and Pritchard good cash options over on FanDuel?
So. I mean, clearly get the bump without Jaylen Brown, but you run into a very good Houston defense. So, I think cramming in as many OKC guys and then finding the money to spend up for a Kawhi, things like that make more sense to me. But I'll say so cash game plays.
Yeah. Okay. Noto, Beer. Actually, this is specifically for Beer. Actually, here we go. Nas or Jared Allen on DK, Noto? Nas or Jared Allen on DK?
The chat was loving Nas earlier. I'm not going to play him, but I don't hate it. I would probably go with Jared Allen.
Okay. DK GPP, Noto, Kuz or Aldama?
Ooh, I'm hoping Aldama's out, so go Kuz.
Okay. Beer, is 3 Grizz too many Grizz? I'm grizzing right now. And if Aldama is in, who does it knock out from the Grizz?
It definitely hurts Prosper the most if he is in. I think it'll hurt our boy Gigi a little bit as well. But again, he'd be the only other big body to enter the equation. They just don't have anybody. So 3 is probably 3's all right. If I could be like 2.5, feels like a good number, which clearly you can't do. But I think 3 is okay. It's gonna make you different for sure. So.
Okay, very good. Beer, a couple names getting thrown my way here. Alan asks about Şengün. Bryce asks about Jordan Walsh.
Şengün, I don't mind at all. Again, I think he fits in that premium spend category that people aren't going to go to. And Walsh is interesting without Hauser. That's an injury we haven't really talked about. It's not just Brown. So he could be another decent value piece. You just hate the matchup, and this total is sitting at 210.5. So it's really tough to get super excited about that game. It could be ugly, could be a blowout, and it's likely low scoring.
Yeah. All right. FanDuel Cash, Noto, you want Cason Wallace or Isaiah Joe?
I want them both, but I will go with Joe.
Okay. New Generation says, Noto, DKGPP, Murphy Edwards or Wemby Pritchard?
Yeah, I'm going to go Wemby Pritchard.
Okay, very good. Guys, we are roughly 1-ish minutes until lock. and we have caught up on all the questions, which is good. If you have any last-second questions, now is the time. By the time you type them, I see them, we answer them. We will just be coming in under the bell. So if you got any last-second questions, get them on in. I did make a little lineup. I kind of took a few days off. Beer, you ever just like you step back for a few days?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to. So there's certain, the grind, sure, but I generally have kids playing sports all over the world, so there's just days it's easy to take a break. But even if you're day to day, no problem stepping back.
Yeah, it took off for about a week, but I'm back in. 3 Memphis, Noto, 3 Memphis and 3 OKC in a GPP.
I'd probably rather do 2 Memphis, 4 OKC, but yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Where do you think Giannis lands, Beer?
I'm hearing everything. I don't know. You hear Minnesota, you hear Golden State, you hear Chicago. He said the other day he wants to stay. So now you have that. So I have no idea what they're going to do.
OG or Collins on DK, Beer?
OG.
Okay. Coming up on the most important question of the day, but let's get this. Noto, Kuz, Rollins, or Porter Jr. in a FanDuel GPP?
Rollins.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Shout out to TJ Moosemanzada, Kevin Roth, the greatest host on all of YouTube. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's quite the exaggeration, but thank you. Your favorite pizza topping, gentlemen. We've hit the lock. This is the final question. Your favorite pizza topping. Beer, you can go first.
Italian
and it can
sausage.
be toppings.
Italian sausage.
Okay. Noto?
You didn't like that one, huh, Roth?
I go pepperoni.
Pepperoni's chalk. I'm talking
Pepperoni,
good
black olive.
Italian sausage, not just your
Okay.
plain Jane, like a good. Some places even slice like straight sliced Italian sausage and put it on there. That's
Okay,
what
now
I'm
that sounds pretty legit. Pepperoni and pineapple. I'm a pineapple guy. I like the sweetness.
I don't mind the pineapple.
I don't mind it. You don't like the ham and pineapple? You go pepperoni pineapple?
I don't like the ham. I always feel like the ham is too dried out on the top of the pizza. So I prefer pineapple because it does the same thing as the ham. It just tastes better in my mind.
That's my issue with you get bacon on it, and it's always a little piece. All it does is fall off.
Yeah, right. It's not even.
I love bacon, clearly, but
but
not a great pizza topping.
No, it's not.
Uneasy pepperoni cups, like the little ones. Those are.
Oh, the pepperoni, and they trap the grease inside it, and when they fold all up, so drink.
You know what's underrated on pizza? There's a place locally that crushes it. Buffalo chicken on pizza is incredible.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal.
So good. Barbecue chicken pizza is good too.
Yep.
Yeah. The people are coming after me from my pineapple take. They say you do that in New York, it can get you shot.
Damn.
All right, I get it. Nobody in New York has guns, so that's the good news. We're gonna clear on out of here. So for Beer, for Noto, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.